My name is Ray Martinez. I'm based out in San Diego. I am Associate Director of SEO in my 9 to 5 at Archer Education, which is a higher education marketing and technology company. To put it simply, I help universities get found on Google search. And then, in my off-peak hours, I also use that industry knowledge to help small businesses just like you guys also get found on search. I also help you guys by providing a digital toolkit that helps set the foundational levels of SEO so you guys can compete on Google search. And as far as my background is concerned, I'm Google Analytics certified. I'm also digitalmarketer.com certified. You see this badge right here on the left, Customer Value Optimization Specialist. Basically, that means I'm an expert in customer sales funnels for driving traffic through digital marketing channels. My background, I have a master's in media management from the New School. And then I also started in SEO about a decade ago, working in New York City nightlife, where I'm originally from. I'm now based out in San Diego on the West Coast, been out here 7 years, and I've been working in agencies for around 6 years. Alrighty, so what is SEO? SEO stands for search engine optimization. It's the practice of increasing the quantity and quality of traffic to your website through organic search engine results. So basically, I help bring in traffic, not just more traffic, but more of the right type of traffic. And this matters specifically because search traffic, especially through Google, is all intent driven. So I help you understand your sales funnel and find the right sort of customers through that sales funnel and bring them onto your site and help them convert into leads. So how do I do this? Well, a little bit about search first. So when we look at a Google search engine results page, as we see right here on the screen, you can see these top two right here are what we call ads. So these are actual bid on cost per click ads. And then we have the organic results. So when I do SEO, I'm actually trying to get you in this #1 organic position. And why do we do that? Because when we look at these ads generally receive 2 to 4% of click-through, meaning they receive 2 to 4% of the clicks on page in total, and they cost money to bid on. So generally it's a cost per click basis. So when you look at homes for sale in San Diego, people bidding on that keyword, it's $1.50 per click. So we have the rule of thousands. So if we need 1,000 leads, we need to multiply that by 1,000 number of impressions. And then we need to have a number of clicks. So as you do that multiplication, your budget dramatically increases. So here's where search engine optimization comes into play. With search engine optimization, this #1 result can drive anywhere from 20 to 30% of clicks on page 1. As you get to position 2, it's anywhere from 10 to 15%, and that dramatically lowers as you go down on the page. But it's still significantly higher than the average 2 to 4% that costs you a lot more. So not only do we bring in more traffic, we also help reduce your marketing costs. Search engine results are also a great way to brand yourself. So if you look at the bottom of this screen right here, you have Zillow. So Zillow actually has their 3D tours listed. This is done through schema and other sorts of technical code that you can add on your site so that Google can pull and parse your information. And when you're able to do this, you actually receive more click-through. It actually entices the user to click through to these individual events or these links below. For example, 855 homes available, apartments for rent, San Diego home values, or houses for rent. This all increases the chances of somebody entering into your site by hitting and targeting multiple intents. And that raises your organic search visibility and helps drive the right sort of customer to your site. So how do we do this? We have 3 pillars for SEO success. Generally, the first pillar is what we call site code and structure. This is often referred to as technical SEO. That middle one is on-site content. We refer to this as on-page SEO. And this third one is off-site factors, is off-page SEO. So the first bucket here is literally looking at the structure and the technical stack of your website, making sure that it follows Google best practices and that your site is accessible to Google's crawlers. So the way Google works is Google sends out a spider or a bot, and that bot actually takes all your HTML and code and they actually scrape that, meaning they actually copy and paste it, and they render it on their side to understand how your site looks from a user experience standpoint. The next thing that Google looks at besides the code is they look at the actual on-page content. And what is that? Those are the titles of your page. Those are your meta descriptions and metadata that is embedded into your HTML. And those are also HTML tags like your headings. So Google looks to these headings and these title tags to understand your page's intent, to see if it matches the user's keyword or query. The third factor, that off-page SEO, simply refers to link building. And link building is the act of other websites adding a hyperlink back to your website. Google's bot crawls the web by literally traveling from link to link. The more links that are relevant to your business and your site, the more chances of discoverability by Google's bot. And Google actually uses this as a search engine ranking factor. They actually look at these as votes of confidence and trust builders. So with these three pieces together, what we see is SEO success, meaning we drive more of that qualified organic traffic to your site. Setting the foundations of SEO is huge. If we think of this from a pyramid perspective, the building block would be technical SEO. And with technical SEO, essentially, we're just making sure that the bot can access the site. There are things like sloppy code or improper website builds or slow websites that slow down your user experience, improperly interlinked pages. All those sorts of things can actually hurt the accessibility of your site, which means that Google then is unable to crawl and understand the content on your site. So at this foundational level, we want to focus on making sure that your website is optimized for Google best practices. That next piece in the pyramid, that next step up, is that on-page SEO factor. We have to optimize title tags. Title tags is one of the hugest ranking factors. A title tag is literally an HTML title tag with your actual title of your page. And with using that, we're able to add keyword-rich text that specifically targets that page's intent. And by doing that, Google has better understanding and context into what the page is about. There are also other elements on page, such as alternative text, which is a description around your image. So for example, if you have any users that come on your site who are sighted or are sight impaired, I should say, they actually use a screen reader. And there's something called alternative text, which provides the description of an image on page. Making sure that we're following those best practices, adding keywords into those, and making sure that we're hitting from an accessibility standpoint, that we're providing the information in context. Google looks at all that to understand the whole page intent. And when we do this well, Google rewards us by actually lifting our pages up in the search engine rankings and getting you to that #1 position. The next piece in this pyramid would be our content strategy. So content strategy is often coupled with on-page SEO, but content strategy, as I'll explain a little later, helps you go a step further. It actually helps you target your sales funnel. It helps you find users who are not just only looking for a specific transactional keyword, meaning homes for sale in San Diego. It's looking at what is the path to get to that style of keyword. The next piece we have is that off-page factor, adding those links. So once again, the more links you rank for that are relevant for your business, the better chance of discovery you have. Links also send what we call link equity. So strong websites that link to your website actually pass power through those hyperlinked text. And by doing so, that actually also helps you drive up the rankings. If we have a home that's being listed and somebody lands on the listing page, we know that somebody is directly interested in purchasing that home. So we want to make sure that we're using all these pieces to drive somebody to that money page. So what is the time frame for this? SEO differs than a lot of other channels because its time frame takes a little bit longer. SEO's performance really does grow over time. It takes about a year, 6 months to a year to see really good results. Actually, a big thing on Google organic search is less than 10% of pages make it onto page one within the first year of growth. But by doing those things and making sure that we're holistically approaching our site and growing, it helps us grow our brand presence over time. It helps us drive and continue to drive traffic. So SEO not only is a long-term solution, but it's a long-term solution that reduces cost over time. So you increase that organic visibility, which allows you to create a holistic story targeting your whole sales funnel. And then from there, you actually create qualified leads. So who are the search engines in question that we're talking about? I mentioned Google a lot. Google has been visited over 62 billion times this year. Google, and that number's gone up because I did this slide probably in March or May. So that number's only increased. They process about 3.5 billion searches per day. 63% of Google's organic search traffic originated from mobile devices, meaning that people are searching more than ever on their phones. So your accessibility has to be there. If they don't find a brand on page one, you're almost invisible, because that means that the user will then have to scroll down. Also, organic search produced 23% of all site visits in Q2 2019 worldwide, meaning that organic search traffic on Google is responsible for a quarter of the world's internet traffic. Google is the hugest platform to actually rank and drive traffic. Another search engine. So currently, Google takes about 75% of market share. The next closest competitor is Microsoft Bing. Microsoft Bing receives 10% of organic search traffic worldwide and only has about a 10% market share. But Bing drives just under 1 billion unique visitors per month, and around 70% of search is branded, meaning this is the perfect place to focus and highlight your brand. 69% of Bing searches involve well-known brands and websites. As your brand grows over time, Bing becomes a place where you can actually compete and win. So what are some of the other search engines? A big one that JJ's actually been alluding to on the call earlier, YouTube. YouTube is the #2 search engine in the world. YouTube drives qualified traffic, also helps Google connect entities and ideas to your brand and your site. We have DuckDuckGo, which is a lesser one. Even Amazon is a search engine. And then we have Baidu, which is based in China. We have Yahoo, which is powered by DuckDuckGo. Tons of search engine out there. But the main one we really want to focus on is Google, because once again, they have 75% of market share. So why do we want to do SEO? So when we do good SEO, we see increased rankings for keywords, which drives more traffic, which then increases your leads, calls, and web forms, which allows you to close more deals. And as you close more deals, you generate more revenue. And then you're able to reinvest in the channel and drive even more traffic. So you're bringing more qualified leads at that lower cost. It allows you to build more brand visibility. It allows you to just simply do more with your marketing. And there's a rule that I like to say in digital marketing: the person that spends the most wins. And normally, what we want to do is spend responsibly and not just throw money at push channels like Facebook ads or Google ads that can be costly and be cumbersome and drive large budgets. So we want to make sure that we're hitting areas of a sales funnel and creating a space to nurture leads down the funnel, similar to your CRM, making sure that you're actually driving users down the path to a sale. So how do we do this? We do this with content strategy. So as we go through content strategy, expands your sales funnel. So at the top of the sales funnel, we have keywords like what is house flipping, or what is real estate, definition style, very top level keywords that are very far from conversion. At the very bottom, we have your brand plus your offering. Those branded keywords, we know that they're captured audience. That's somebody who's already familiar with your brand. They're already looking for you. So we don't really have to focus on this bottom funnel as much, because we know that if they're searching for you already, there's a good chance that they know who you are and they know what they want from you. So how do we get somebody to this point though? So we use a definition piece, and then we'll move them through nurturing and through interlinking on page to a familiarity piece. How to, a guide to doing something. So 2021 guide to real estate in Massachusetts, how to find a house in San Diego, how to find a closed listing, how to find foreclosed homes, that type of content. From there, we get into the next piece. Consideration. Is buying a house in this neighborhood right for me? Is purchasing a home? What's the return on investment for purchasing a home? These are types of keywords where people are trying to understand if this is the right process for them, if this is the right home for them, if this is the right anything for them. And that piece is powerful. That drives them to the next sales, which is where we get into the money keywords. That's where you see real estate sales training classes or house flipping courses or real estate development or homes for sale in San Diego. Those types of keywords are transactional in nature. So we know that somebody wants to actually act on those. That's the behavior that we're looking for. So we use this sales funnel. We map out your user's journey with content and nurture them down that sales funnel to the path to a sale. So what are some of the things that we do to implement this? So we do keyword research, and this is huge. So keyword research itself allows you to not only find a keyword, but to understand the intent behind a keyword, to understand who the competitors are, to understand the actual competition and what it takes to win that keyword. And when you do that right, so for example, here on the left-hand side, you see Maryville University, how to become a CEO. When they did, Maryville actually heavily invested in SEO as a service. And when they did this, they were able to earn what we call a featured snippet, which is the #1 result, but it also pulls it out in a visual format, which entices more people to click on your search engine result. So good organic SEO and good organic strategy through keyword research allows us to not only rank at the top of Google, it also allows us to enhance the way that we appear by understanding the keywords we target. Another huge piece is that off-page piece. It's link equity, or link juice as SEOs describe it, is the way in which we can pass link authority from one page to another. So just picture it like this. As you can see, one website sending a hyperlink. So hyperlink is the actual text linked to another site. That's actually passing equity to your website. So when Google finds this, they find it on this site, they crawl, go down the path and come to your website. And they said, oh, your website must be really important because this is counting to them as an endorsement. This is another third-party site endorsing you. And that third-party validation is something that Google rewards. And the biggest thing about this is we have to make sure it's relevant to your business. If it's not relevant, Google will actually directly ignore those links. So we want to make sure that we're passing the most equity we can pass by finding relevant targets. And what do I mean by relevant targets? So like I heard someone said they're in the service area of Atlanta. We want to make sure that our services are being linked to by local Atlanta organizations. We want to make sure that, the Rotary Club in Atlanta, we want to make sure that, the local Chamber of Commerce knows that you're there and has a link to your website and working with your actual own networks. I mean, this is a great group. This is a group of large amount of people who have websites and a web presence. By interlinking to each other and pumping each other up, you guys provide each other that third-party validation. And it's all relevant because you guys are all in the same industry, doing the same thing. So by saying targeting and linking to your partner site or a friend's site, you guys are actually passing each other equity. And with that, I think, I've left it at a really good place to really just talk about, that SEO foundation. By setting that and just continued best practices on your ends and continuing with networking and, exchanging links and consistently publishing content, you can gain wins. And that's about it for me, JJ.